Hi everyone, good morning. I hope you're able
Sir,
to hear me.
good morning, sir.
Very good morning.
Good morning.
So is everyone set up your self-hosted integration runtime, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So let me go to our data factory. I'm just going to launch the data factory studio first. So in the last session, we just moved the file or we just moved the data from the table to a table with copy data activity that we have seen. And if I wanted to go for incremental loading, then how you're going to handle the incremental loading that we are going to see. Let's execute it. Okay, so this many times did I run? Okay, so anyhow, so we have a data in the source and target. Let me go back to my database here. Okay, so I have a 4 records in the data source. Okay, if I wanted to apply incremental loading, you have to take a minimum date and max date. You have to follow the same syntax that we are going to handle it. Okay, so minimum date -2, we are going to take in this particular starting date, and this is going to be ending date. So we are going to give a boundary for your records. So in order to do this, the last loaded date you have to take it. The last loaded date is available inside your control table. Let me show you the control table execution. And here we already loaded. What is the last loaded date? That means minimum date of your source -2 I have taken. So minimum date was 24. So I'm just taking -2 is 22. I'm just taking it. So this date I wanted to get it. So this date will be that we can call it as a watermark start date. Okay, so
I think this is first load, right? That's not a last load, from my understanding.
something I
Yeah,
press it.
Bhaskar,
1 minute. I lost
you
my
should take
screen.
max date or my mean date.
I'll come. I'll come. No worries. Just give me a minute. Able to hear me, right?
Yes, Bhaskar.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I pressed something. I lost my screen. Yeah, got it. I'm just using sometimes keywords, so they're misfiring. Okay, so here you're able to see, right? Can you please confirm?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can.
Okay. Oh my God. 1 more minute, please. I'm sorry. I'm back. Yeah, so even if we go for incel load, you people think that incel load is full load. Of course it is. But if we have a massive volume of data in the table, we cannot go at one set. That is also one problem is there. Forget about all of them. Okay, so I wanted to give the date range. Okay, so what is the minimum date of your source? -2 I'm taking for reference. That is the starting date. Ending date is max date I have to take it. Okay, so max date is going to be this one. Okay, so max date I'm going to keep it here. So when I show you practical, then you can understand how exactly it is going to be there.
But Bhaskar, but why -2?
You can take minus, see, sometimes we may not give exact time, right? So for better side, for safe side, to avoid any missing records, I'm just taking a -2.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so that we are confident enough, we are not going to lose the data.
Okay. So it's according to the scenario.
Exactly. Okay, so yesterday we have seen what is the minimum date of this. So for this particular date, I have taken a -2, 24 -2, same time I've taken. So this was the approach that we implemented in my project. Okay, when I went for this incremental loading. So initially, basically I used to take this one. This date I used to take 0101 1990. Yeah. This date I used to take it. But then I faced one problem. Okay, so that time, like when you have a less volume, less what I can say, basically they have a partitions at the month level. There are too many months are coming. That problem is not with the data factory. When I use the same date, the problem is with the Databricks. I faced a problem with the Databricks. So that time I checked with them how you're handling. So that time I got to know like min date minus minimum date of your source -2 we are taking. You can take a 10 or you can take a 5. At least you need to have a 2. That is what they suggested. Okay. So that time we started taking only 2 or up to 10 also you can go. No worries if you go up to 10. Okay. So for that reason, I just kept minimum date -2 in the control table. Okay. I think I close this studio, data studio. I'm just connecting it. So that is what I'm having inside this control table. Oh my God, what happened? I need only this server. I'm just taking out that. Now I'm able to see this data. So this date I need to bring into the data factory. If I wanted to bring into the data factory, then we are going to use the activity called lookup activity. We're going to use the lookup activity. Let's go back to your data factory pipeline and we'll see how you're going to implement it. So let's take a lookup activity that is available from the general category. Just drag and drop your lookup activity. And I wanted to make a connectivity on success of this lookup. I wanted to execute this copy activity. Okay, so I just wanted to test only the lookup activity. If you want to test only lookup activity, we can use this debug until so that this activity is not going to be executed. So we can try to run up to here. If you feel this particular activity is giving a right result as per your requirement, then you can stop this debug or debug until you can stop it. So I wanted to rename this as, I just wanted to follow the same naming standard, WMD underscore start. So watermark date underscore start. I'm just giving the name of the lookup activity. So for this one, I want to get the date, the starting date. Okay, so till last loaded date, we need to take it. That last loaded date is available in the control table. To get this one, I'm just going to say select last underscore loaded underscore date as, I'm just taking WMD underscore start. You can give any naming for that. I'm just taking, and you need to take the table name also, right? Okay, I'll come to that point. Okay, so I'm just taking, I just feel that there is only one record in the table, so I'm just writing accordingly. If I have a multiple tables, then how you're going to behave, we'll see that later. Now, let's come to this lookup activity. As I said, lookup activity is used to look up on the database. So my query is there in the database. I'm just taking the syntax, the settings, and my control table is there in our target, in our place. So I'm just taking that particular data set, and let's go for query. I'm just going to paste that code here. Just preview it. If I preview it, then it is showing the data here. Whatever the date that I required, it is having it. I told you this lookup activity is going to show you one record. This particular activity returns a single row, and it is also going to return multiple rows also. Okay, so in this particular case, I need only one row. I need only one date. I don't need multiple, right? So I'm just going to have only, of course, my table itself is having one record. I don't have any problem. If table is having multiple records, we'll see that later. So how we can get only single record by using this lookup activity is, there is an option here, first row only. By default, it gives only first row. If you uncheck this, then it is going to give a multiple rows. When it is returning multiple rows, how we are going to do it? When it is returning a single row, then how we are going to do that, we are going to see. Now I'm just taking only single row. Okay, so we already know about this two options with copy data activity. The same, we don't need to create too many data sets. I can use the existed data set and I can specify the name of the table here within the query. Now I have a date here. So this date I wanted to give it to copy data activity. That is fine. I don't have any problem because I'm fine with this particular date. Now what about this date also is required, right? Max date, you have to get it. So max date is going to get from the source. Your source, max date is going to get from the source. Now we took the date, last loaded date from where? From the target, from the control table. Okay, so that is fine. And max date, we have to take it. So max date from the source, I'm just going to take this here, something like this, max of updated at as WMD underscore end. Let's execute this statement. You can see the max date. What is the max date here? So this one also you have to bring into your copy data, you have to bring this into data factory. Let's take the same code, copy this, go to your data factory, and I'm just going to drag and drop one more lookup activity here. Let's name this as watermark date underscore end. Let's go to the settings. So here we have to take the source one, that is ds underscore data store. And let's take a query, and here I'm just going to paste my query here. Let's execute and preview the data. You can see here WMD underscore end. So WMD means watermark dates. You're making watermark till what date we need to load and till what date we loaded. Okay, so between these two ranges, we have to take it. So on success of this, I wanted to execute this. Okay, so if any one of them is failed, then this is not going to be executed. Both need to be succeeded, then only this copy data is going to be executed. You just run this one. Okay, you just run. Just run now. I'm just going to run it. We'll see what is the value of this WMD. We already seen with coding also. I'm just going to show you here. This two will be executed and copy data is not going to be executed. Now, what is the value of this WMD underscore start? You can see here. Input is your SQL code. It is available here. How the code is there, and the output of this lookup activity you can see in the output. In the output, you can see WMD start date is available here. And in the same way for end, we have a select statement, max upload as WMD underscore end. The same thing, that output we can see here. What is the output of this? We can see. Now, I wanted to give this output, the parameters output, I mean to say whatever the output is having in the lookup, the same thing that I wanted to give it to copy data activity. Because this dates we cannot hard code it. Okay, so we have to make it dynamic. This part we need to pass dynamically. This particular part you have to pass dynamically. So in order to pass them dynamically, you have to take the activity outputs. If you remember, when I explained about how we are going to write the expression, in order to write the expression, I can use the activity outputs, I can use the parameters, I can use the system variables, functions, and user defined variables. So we already seen this one, and we also come across p functions. And parameters, we have not yet come. Now I'm just going to touch this in order to write the expressions. So in the expression builder, we have to make it dynamic. Just observe how I'm going to do it. We'll see. So what I'll do is, I'm just going to take out this. Basically, I recommend to write in this way. Yeah, it is, of course, it is an expression only. Just maximize this so that you can have a clear picture on it. So this is a start first row. Okay, so this is having my activity start date. Okay, so this is the name of the column also. I'm just going to say first row dot WMD underscore start. My activity name, my column name, I took in both naming standard, I took the same naming standard. Okay, so I'm just taking this cut, make this cut. What you have to do is, I'm just going to keep this in this braces. Just try to see what value it is going to give it. Okay, so basically this we can say positional parameters. Okay, so especially this one I'm going to use in the Databricks. Okay, so maybe you've seen, if you see here, I'm using the same approach only here. Okay, so in the Databricks also we have a similar features. Okay, I'll talk about it, how exactly it will be there in Databricks and how exactly it is going to be there in the your data factory. Just take out this @ symbol here. Now you can see. If I run this one, what happens? You just observe. I wanted to run even this copy data activity also. You have to see the how this is going to be failed, how this query is going to be generated. Just observe. When you face more issues, then you can learn more things. You have to face the issues. Now just observe, just concentrate on the input, how this input query is getting. Select star from where date is available, but the value is not coming here, you can see. As it is, whatever I have written, it is coming. And this one I did not set up, will come to this place. Okay, so I have to keep, you have to have a at here. Okay, let me show you. I'm just taking piece by piece. I'm just going to take the at. Just observe what happens if I run now. Now just observe. Now previously there was a parameter, I mean to say activity output name was there. Now you can see the value here. But I'll come to that. The same way I wanted to do it for the ending date also. Whatever the way I've done for starting, in the same way I need to do it for ending.
But why it got failed? It is
I'll
taking
tell
the
you.
value.
I'll tell you.
Is it not under the codes?
Yes, actually that is. I'm just going to take the copy of this and paste it here. So I'm going to say this one is end. So since I'm having same naming standard, I'm just going to keep the end here and here also end, because activity name also is different. Or you can take the activity from here also. Okay, so w underscore end, first row, you can take it and then you can give the name of the column. Now let me run it again. Still it is going to be failed. You're making a data driven pipeline. Your normal pipeline is going to be changed to your data driven pipeline. Now if you see the input, I'm just taking this entire code. Okay, so I'm just taking out this symbols, because as it is, when it's going for the next line, it is getting the s/n, that is fine. But here it is getting failed. What is the reason? Is because these dates are not in a single quote. Dates should be there in a single quote. I'm just going to keep that in a single quote. You just observe. If I get the output, if I execute this one, I'm able to see the data. So that means only single quotes are making a problem. So we have to do the changes accordingly. So I'm just going to keep the single quote here or outside. Let me keep outside. And here also the same thing. Because outside only we need to have a single quote. Now let me hit OK. Let's debug it. So the reason why I'm saying step by step is because when you get some issues, you can easily fix it. If I keep everything at one shot, there are more chances to do the mistakes from your side. And if you face some issues, you may not in a position to solve it. But it is going to load it. Oh my God. Okay, that is fine. Now just observe the input query is perfectly all right. So because of that reason, it is loading into the target. Okay, so up to here we are fine because the dates are changed. Even after loading this, if I run again, the same dates will come and same data will come again and again. If I execute this same query again and again, it is going to be the same. But we need to update your target, your control table. Okay, so we have to update your control table saying that till this date we loaded. So max date from the source we have to take and we have to update your control table. So then only when I run next time, it is going to take this date as a reference date. You're getting my point, right? So this control table need to be updated. Control table need to be updated with max date of your source. Whatever the date that we are taking from the pipeline here, end date, the date need to be updated. This value should be updated with your control table. So you have to use this value to update your control table.
Uh,
You got
Bhaskar,
my
could you
point, right?
please again tell how it got succeeded? Where you put the codes?
Okay, let me show you. The simple, you understand previously,
Yeah,
you are
but
not
first time,
you're not having this one, right? Codes. It
yeah,
was there
but
like this. I need to have a quote. Okay, so quote is required after this symbol.
yeah, but
The,
you have put it and it got failed after you entered
no,
first
no, no.
time.
Yeah, I did not keep that single quote first time. So this was not there previously. This quote. You're getting my point.
Okay,
This
okay,
quote was not there.
okay. Yeah,
So
fine.
because of that reason, it was failed. Because the value is getting like this. To get this quote, you have to keep after greater than. So here, by using this one, we are getting that value. So this value should be there in a single quote.
But when you add the code also, it got failed first
No,
time.
no,
Right?
no, 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 no.
Okay.
Okay. In the same way, here also we have a quote.
Oh,
Okay, just cross verify this session, then definitely you can understand it.
okay. Got it.
Now this value I need to update. I need to take the value of this and I need to update my control table. So in order to do this, I need to have a stored procedure to update it. So update statement we need to write. Okay, so let's go to, you have to write the SQL code or stored procedure to update. So that stored procedure should be there in your control. Okay, so we are going to keep in our control to update it. Let me create a one stored procedure here. Create procedure ESP underscore update control table. You can give any name. So to update my control table, you have to take some reference, right? You cannot update all the records. If there is a single table, that is fine. If there is a multiple tables, then you have to specify for which table you need to update it. Okay, so update statement is something like this. Update table name, that is control underscore TBL set. So I wanted to set the value last loaded date equals to whatever the value that we are getting from this one. I mean to say second lookup, and this value I have to take it. I have to keep it here, where table underscore name equals to customer. Okay. So if I execute it, it is going to done it. But this is a static value, right? So you have to get this value from the data factory. So if you want to get it from the data factory, and this one you have to get from the data factory, and this one also you have to take it from the data factory. These two need to get from the data factory. So if that is the case, then you have to take the parameter here at table underscore name is varchar data type, comma, at WMD underscore end, or last loaded date, any name that we can take it.
And Bhaskar, one doubt that table name is a default parameter or what?
This one you're saying?
That table underscore name.
Table underscore name is the name of the column. You can give any.
Okay. I can
Okay.
see. I can see.
Just for making understand, I'm taking it, and you can also take the same parameter name and column name also, so that you can avoid confusion. So this update statement you need to write within the stored procedure. I'm just going to say begin and okay. So here you have to take this variable to here and this variable to here. Okay, you're getting my point, right? How you're going to get it? Let me execute the stored procedure. The same code is available. I just kept it for reference here. Okay. I'm just going to execute this. Now I have a stored procedure. I need to call the stored procedure. To call the stored procedure, basically you can use it and you can pass the values of that here. Okay, so to test it, you may not create the stored procedure. If you have a experience on creating a stored procedures, and if you understand the context, then you can do it. But creating a stored procedure to make it update of your control table is not much difficult. You can handle it. Okay, so now I'm just going to call the stored procedure. If I wanted to call the stored procedure, then I have to use the activity called stored procedure activity. So stored procedure activity, we can use for two different purposes. Mostly to update your control tables, we are going to use it. And if you wanted to do the data transformation also, you can do, but this is not recommended to do it. It's a traditional approach. If you're not having a Databricks, I worked in one of the project to have a stored procedures to do the data transformation. So data cleansing, data transformation, they're doing with the stored procedure. Later, they propose to migrate from the stored procedures to Databricks, because that's not the best practice to do it. Okay, and apart from that, people used to do the data flow also, and data flow is not much recommended because there are many limitations are there. So because of that reason, I'm saying from the beginning, Databricks is very, very important to get the job. If you're strong enough with the Databricks, you can get good package in the market. If you're not strong with this, and if you're strong, very strong with the ADF, that is not going to help you. So ADF will help you to get the job. ADF will help you to work, of course. But if you want to get good package, I'm sure you need to be strong in the Databricks, because it is completely coding and it is very important. There are many features that we are going to see. Okay, so the same incremental learning, how we are going to do with the Databricks also is important. Okay, so context, if you understand here, then I can directly go and implement in the Databricks if I'm going to explain with the Databricks. In my experience, the stored procedure that I used for to feed the log details and to update the configuration. Okay, so configuration means it will be control tables. To update the configuration, I use this stored procedure activity, and to feed the logging details, I use the stored procedure activity. But if the business requirement demands to do the data transformation, then definitely can use it. But it is very bad practice, I feel, as a data engineer. Okay, so if they're not having a Databricks, if they don't have a budget, if they have a less volume of data, then we recommend to go with that. Otherwise, is not recommended. Now, if I wanted to call this from the data factory, how you're going to call your stored procedure to update your control table. So after completion of loading, I wanted to execute my stored procedure activity. Let's search for stored procedure activity and just drag and drop. I'm just going to make this connectivity here. Let's take the same stored procedure name. I'm just renaming it. Now, when I take the stored procedure, you have to give a connectivity, right? So from where it is available. So link service is required. This is the stored procedure is available in the target. So you need to choose the target connectivity. And the name of the stored procedure, you can see here, automatically it is getting pop-up. Just select it. And once you select it, my procedure is having a parameters. You have to import the parameters from the stored procedure. Let's import it. And you can see table name and last loaded date. So for time being, my table name, I'm just giving hard-coded value customer. But date, I'm going to take it from the lookup activity. Okay, so this one also I'll make it dynamic later. For time being, just take it as a hard-coded value. Let's go for add dynamic content. And I'm just going to take a WMD underscore end dot I think first row is available. Yeah. Just directly take the first row dot WMD underscore end. So column names are case sensitive. You have to make sure entering the column names properly. Let's hit OK. Now this value will go to this last loaded date variable, and table name will go to the table name variable, and your stored procedure is going to be invoked. So once this is executed, then your control table is going to be updated.
We don't need to define the data type for this.
We don't need to define because
Yeah,
it is coming as a date only.
Here on the
In the stored
parameter.
procedure, we defined, right?
No,
As
no,
a date.
you are giving the
I'm just giving the output of my lookup activity.
on the below where you pass the parameters of the stored procedure. It is asking the type.
Okay. Date time.
Okay.
Okay. So I thought it was selected automatically. It
And
was not
now,
sensitive.
is there no need for that single quotation?
Not required.
Okay.
Not required. Let's see if it is required. I don't think it is required. We'll check if it is required, definitely. Okay.
Okay, Bhaskar.
Now I'm just going to run this. Okay, so to run it, let me execute as it is. Debug it. My control table previously, my control table value is something, this one. Let me take a snip of this. Now it got updated. Let's go and see your control table. Previously it was 22. Just have a look. Now you can see the max date was there. Okay, so how many rows were loaded for copy data activity? It is going to show you here in the target. So 4 rows are read and 4 rows are copied. That is fine. Okay, so if I run again, it should not load the data because it is going to take this particular date now. This date is going to be starting date. And ending date also is same, right? Because we are not feeding any records in the target. Sorry, in the source, I'm not feeding anything. Let me rerun it. It has to get the 0 records. The output of this, there should be 0 rows read and 0 rows copied. Let me rerun it.
But on control table, you are loading the min of updated date -2 only, no?
That time, only first time we set up it, right? Second time onwards, it is making update dynamically.
Okay.
Now, if you see your copy data here, 0 rows are red, 0 rows are copied. Okay. And
And this
this,
moment, I want to ask one question.
yeah,
Okay. So, if any record was previously modified, no, it's going to be modified, then how we can capture that live record from our
that's what
system?
I told. Like, let's go to the source system. You can see we have a column called updated it. If the source is getting
Yeah.
updated, this has to be updated.
Okay.
So that is one thing. And we cannot directly go and insert it, right? Even if it is already inserted, is like, let's say, for example, this is 4,000. Then this date will be updated.
Yeah.
Okay, so we take this particular record and then we are going for SCD types to implement it.
Okay, Bhaskar.
Okay, in that way, it is going to be done as expected.
Okay. So we
Okay.
are going to see this?
Yeah, we are going to see.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Okay, so SCD type 1, I'm not going to connect with this at this point of time. I'm just going to take a piece and you have to connect it basically at the time of working. First, we are going to do the incremental loading. After implementing the incremental loading, then we are going to implement SCD type. Okay, so
Okay,
the
Bhaskar.
reason is, let's say, for example, you have a 40 million records in the source. Only one record is updated. If I directly apply SCD type on 40 million records, it takes long time. Okay, so that's not the best practice also, because every record is going to check is that available or not.
Yes.
Okay, so to avoid that, if we can apply incremental loading on top of it, you will get only one record. So one record will go for SCD.
Okay.
So that is how we used to handle it. I'll give the conclusion all these things at the time of project.
Okay, Bhaskar.
Okay. Now
Sure.
I'm just going to add one new record. In the source, I'm just adding it 105 Rama Kochi 5,000 I'm taking. Let's insert this record. Now one record only is inserted. If I run my pipeline should get only one record. Okay, if there is no new record or updated record, forget about updated record. I'll talk about that later because it is going to come into a different process. So I'm just going to insert one new record is available. If I run my pipeline, it has to read only one new record. Let's debug it. Then store procedure is getting executed. That is also done. Now, if you see the output of this copy data activity, you can see rows read is 1 and rows copied is 1. It is not taking all the rows from the source. And the query also you can see. You can just observe. This is greater than that date and less than or equal to this date. And if you see your target table, you're going to have that alone, that only one new record, 105 is there, and control table is also going to be updated with the latest date. Okay. So this is how we need to do it. Now the question here is, there are some limitations are there. Let me publish this first. This incremental loading is going to work for only one table. This is going to work for only single table. But like this, there may be multiple tables also, right? There will be multiple tables also. If I wanted to apply incremental loading for multiple tables, then how you're going to do it? So 100% is not going to be single table. 100% is we are going to have a multiple tables. Let's say out of, you just imagine I have 100 tables total. Out of 100 tables, I have 10 tables for incremental loading. You just imagine. I'm just taking less number of only, but you just imagine. For 10 tables, do I need to create a 10 pipelines? 100% is no, right? If I have a 50 pipelines to go for incremental loading, I don't need to create a 50 pipelines. One pipeline is enough to apply incremental loading for all the tables. Okay, so how we are going to do is, first you need to get the list of the tables. Just imagine, I'm just going to feed one more table in the control table to go for incremental loading. Okay, so let me insert this data. I'm just inserting one more, that is 2. Let's say there is an employee table which is having incremental loading for that also. Okay, so I'm just taking minimum date. I'll take this one. I'll execute this particular statement later, but before that I need to create a employee table. Let me check, is there employee table or not? It is available. Okay. So same to same here, there is no much more differences. I have a employee ID, employee name, employee location, employee salary, started at, affected at. Okay, so different date columns I'm taking. In my customer table, I have a different columns, updated it and created it. Here I'm taking, wantedly I'm just taking a different naming standard. Okay, so do you want me to show you how we can create a table, or can you people create a table for this?
We can create.
Okay, perfect then. Okay, so I'll give a structure. You can just see here the table name, and based on that, you can have any columns, but just have a 2 date columns, started at and affected at. So I'm going to take this affected at as a reference. Okay, so what is the minimum date? Because I wanted to load this data into my target. So target, I have to create the table. Let me take this, go to the target. Create table, employee. Of type integer. Worker 100. Date time. Okay, oh God. Okay, so I'm just creating this target table in the target database with the same columns I'm taking. Okay, so column names are same and data types also is same. I'm just going to execute this because I wanted to load the data into this table. Okay, so I don't have the data here and I need to feed this control table entries, right? I told you the thumb rule is minimum data of your source -2, you just take it to load the data. I mean to say here from this employee, I'm just taking affected date as date column. Select min of your date as min date from table name. So this date, okay, 0 to 24. Okay, very long, that's fine. So here I have a different date, you can see, no worries. I'm just taking, for this date, I wanted to take -2. Okay, so I wanted to take -2. Okay, so that you can do it even if I take that date, or I can take a copy of this. Anything is fine. Okay, just take this one and go for -2. Even that month also explained on the same 24th. Okay, so let's come to your control table. I'm just pasting whatever I got. I'm just going to say 2 days minus. Let's execute only this statement. Do not execute again this. Okay, so basically if we have a constraint on this, on the table name, basically we need to have a constraint so that we do not enter multiple values. Okay, so it's a different story. I don't want to touch that now. Let's execute it. Now I have 2 records in the table. Okay, so this date, the same pipeline I'm going to use. I'm not going to change the pipeline, but this pipeline as it is will not work. This is going to work for only single table. If you want to make it work for multiple tables, then how you're going to handle it? Let me clone this. Multiple tables. Okay, I can just change the existed thing, but I don't want to disturb it, so that you can also do the same way for practicing. Now, first problem is first you need to get the list of the tables. Okay, first you need to get the list of the tables. How many tables are there? So in order to go for multiple tables from the control table, what details we required is I required the name of the table and I required the date. These 2 columns I required. Okay, so if I have these 2 columns, then I can go and take it. I can do it. Just take first these 2 columns. We already somewhere we have written that statement. Let me take this copy and paste it here. On table underscore name I'm taking, comma. These 2 columns I'm just taking it. These 2 rows. Now your select statement is returning more than 1 row. Your select statement is returning more than 1 row. And this first table, I have to iterate all this. I have to one time I have to execute this all these activities, right? For customer table. In the same way, for employee table, I have to execute all these things again. In order to execute all these activities multiple times, one time is for customer and other time is for employee table. So if you want to execute collection of activities together multiple times, or activity multiple times, whenever you're going to execute something multiple times, then I'm just going to keep all these activities inside the like it's a loop, right? This time, one time and second time means it is a loop. So to iterate the items multiple times, we have an activity called for each activity.
Yes, let's say, yeah, who will pick the customer table and who will pick the employee table?
Will come. I'll come. Okay, wait for some time. So by tomorrow, you're going to get to know. Okay, so now I have to keep all these activities in the for each activity. So what I'll do is just observe how I'm going to do first. Let me drag and drop your for each activity that is there in the iterations. Just drag and drop to here. Whatever is there in this particular case, I'm just going to cut them. Okay, I'll do one thing. Let me take out auto align, take a copy, Control X, and drag and drop this for each, go inside for each and paste it. I just pasted whatever I have done, the same thing I just pasted inside the for each activity. Okay, is everyone clear, right? What I've done?
You copy the pipeline, whole pipeline, and paste inside the for each activity.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
That is what I'm saying. Okay, so I just kept whatever is there, I just kept inside the for each activity. Now this
So
for each activity.
one doubt, sir.
Yeah.
So this one is to have repeated activities, sir.
Yes,
For each.
yes.
Okay, okay.
So for each, our requirement is I'm having two tables. I have to execute that list of activities for customer. I have to execute that entire activities for employee also. That means 2 times I have to execute it. If you want to execute multiple times, the same thing that you have to keep in the for each activity. You got my point, right? We know already what is there inside this, right? So same start date is there, same end date is there, copy data is there, stored procedure activity is there. Okay, so I have to get the list of the tables, and those list of tables I'm going to give it to for each activity. So I'm just naming this, let's say, iterate list of tables. I'm just giving some name for that. Now, who will give the list of the tables? That is the question. Up to here, we already done it. I just cut and paste in the for each activity. I did not do anything. Okay, but you cannot execute this directly. You have to give some objects to this. Okay, so there are various options are there. We can create a variable, and you can have a variable of type is array type, and you can give the names of the tables here. But that's not the best practice, because we are not sure about tables, right? The static tables we are not supposed to give. You have to take the tables from where? From the control table. This code you have to execute it. So we already know there is a lookup activity to execute the statement, to execute your select statement. Let's take a lookup activity here. I'm just taking the lookup activity, and data set is what? Target data set. And let's take a query. And here I'm just going to paste the code. When I preview this, it is going to have a one record, but we are not looking for one record, for multiple records. That means you have to uncheck this. I told you lookup activity returns a single row and returns multiple rows. Or if you want to take only single row, you can choose the first row only. Or if you wanted to take multiple rows, then you have to make sure uncheck this first row only. Now, if you preview now, you can find there is a two records are there. Now, this is the one we are going to use it. I told you lookup activity is going to return up to 500 rows only. So yeah, 5,000 rows only. So can we expect more than 500 or 5,000 rows in a control table? We cannot expect it, because this lookup, main intention of this lookup activity is to have or to get the configuration details, not your actual data. For actual data, we do not use the lookup activity. So here I'm taking this lookup activity to take my control table details or config details. Okay, so let me give the name list of
Control table don't contain the more than 5,000 records.
Do you have a 5,000 tables? Can you have it?
No, control table don't.
Then definitely we see, based on the requirement only, Microsoft given that limitation. If they really need more than 5,000, they're saying you can break them into pieces. Okay, 5,000 in one batch, another 5,000 in another batch, you can do it. You have to give a batch number. Okay, so that kind of context also I'm going to take you through. Okay, so you can get a little more clarity about it. See, when there is a limitation, definitely there is some alternative way to get the solution. I'm just making connectivity on success of this list of tables. I'm going to use, I'm just going to give this output to for each activity. Now, if I debug until here, this is not going to be executed, and just see what result it is getting. Just debug it. Now, if you see the output of this, how many items are there here? 2 items are there. Okay, so 2 items are it is showing. You can see here. Number of items is 2. So it is giving the value. So value of type is what? It is an array. Or if you are aware of Python, there is a list. So list of items are there here. This is one item. and this is another item. So two items are there. If you wanted to take the item, basically collection of items, from the collection of items, if you want to take it in data factory, we are going to use item function. Item is going to represent this value. Okay. You have to give the first, let's give the output of your lookup activity to for each activity. So at the time of building blocks, I talked about it. Activity output can be input to another activity. So now I'm just giving the output of this to for each activity. Okay, so to give it, you just select your for each activity and go to your settings. And I'm just going to make this sequential. And items are there here. You just hit on add dynamic content. You have to take a output of your lookup activity. So what we have to choose here is there is an array, value array. Just select it. That's all. So lookup can give the count. Lookup can other lookup activities also there. Okay, so you don't need to worry about it. I'm just going to take list of tables value. So value of type is array. Array means collection of items here. Okay, so then 4 times whatever the number of items it is giving it to for each activity, that many times it is going to be executed. Now,
What is activities for here?
number of activities. How many number of activities are there inside this? Inside for each, how many activities are there? That is what it is.
2 lookup, 1 copy.
2 lookups, 1
and one
copy,
store.
1 stored procedure. Okay, so it is giving how many activities are there in this activity. Because for each is a container. We can have a multiple activities inside the for each. Now, I need to give a table name right here. And here we cannot use the debug until. It's not going to be possible. Okay. So we have to take the table name because table name is changing. I cannot use directly here control table.
Huh?
Keep in mind, please. So if you're not talking, please keep in mute so that the noise will not record. Okay, so here I cannot directly go and use this one. If I use this statement, just imagine, I cannot use this statement. I have to use I need to filter or I need to take only first item only. Okay, so how we can make this dynamic to get the starting date? I need to get only one date value only. I don't need to get other. So I need to apply a
On a
filter here.
single table.
Yeah, we have to apply a filter where table name equals to, we need to apply it. The same code without much changes. You're just going to use where table underscore name equals to customer, if it is a customer. Let's take this query into this place. If I execute this, then it is going to give a single table, single date value. But table name is going to change, right? First time it will give a customer, second time it will give employees, third time some other table, and so on. Okay, so this we need to change and we need to make this dynamic. So that we are going to see on tomorrow's session. So I'm stopping here. So tomorrow's session is also very important when the table is having a multiple when the table is when there is a multiple tables for incremental loading, how you're going to handle it, that we are going to see. Okay, so not only for incremental loading, general approach also, how we can load multiple tables is the same approach that we are going to do it. Okay, any question before stopping?
How many times for each activity will iterate? There is
We'll
some
see that tomorrow. We'll
there is
see that.
some-
We'll
there is
see
some-
that tomorrow.
Okay.
Guys, I cannot connect. Bharat, I cannot connect at 2 p.m. because I need to go to office today, next 3 days from today. So if it is mobile, you can call me. I'll talk to you in mobile, but I cannot connect directly with the system. Okay, so on Monday and Friday I will be available. If
Yeah,
anyone is
mobile
facing,
only.
yeah, mobile is fine. You can call me.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so if anyone is facing any issue while you're doing a practice, I will be available Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Friday. You can ping me uh, while you're doing a practice. If it is really stopping you to practice, I'll help you. Okay.
Actually, good morning, sir.
Very good morning, Deepak.
Sir, yesterday I recharged, means I took a paid description for
Yeah,
Azure.
yeah.
So I got a message of amount something 20,000. I shared with you that message. So any
20,000.
issue?
20,000.
Actually, the frequency as presented, start date, cancel something. I got a message from a credit card bank. I
Okay.
also shared that message with you.
No. Can you share your screen? Let me stop my screen. And I'm just stopping the recording.
Okay, I'm sharing.
Sir, can I leave?
Yeah, please leave.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.